What is going on, all you GBA tab people? This is Tom, bringing you guys a very late upload this week. This will be my Week 4 match against DeathlyiAm and his Tennessee Trubbish. Now, to give you guys a little bit of insight, again, like last week from what's going on in my life. Last week I got contacted by an agency to get hired. This week I kind of started moving through, and in the time that I set up to battle Deathly, I also, had a pretty busy weekend. I was up in New York all day on Saturday. I went to go see if any of you guys are familiar with Streetlight Manifesto, and they were playing with the Bandits of the Acoustic Revolution at Radio City Music Hall. So that was really cool. I got to spend like a whole day with a friend of mine, and then I lost my voice pretty much all of Saturday. Met with my investigator on Sunday, and then here we are. And then Monday and Wednesday I worked 16-hour shifts, so 2 8-hour shifts for my police job, and then I worked 14 and 13 hours on Tuesday and Thursday. So Friday's my first day off, and I was tired, and here we are. And yeah, so things are going well with the police, things are going well with just life, and I don't know, I was really busy this week, so fortunately I couldn't upload when I wanted to, at least right as everyone was uploading. Late match, a lot of things going on, but we got up now, and I'm sure people will enjoy this match regardless. So if you guys haven't seen Deathly's side or his channel, check him out. I'll put his link in the description below. I think he was, very humble and very good to schedule with, so I appreciate him for that. His team is extremely frightening. I think I put his team up there with the likes of, like Kyle's and even Nate's, where it's a lot of power, a lot of surprising things, but, may or may not struggle with the overall cohesiveness of the team. Doesn't mean that what's on his team isn't terrible. As a matter of fact, it's very hard to prepare for, as you will see. So Kyurem White, Gothitelle, Tapafini, Volcarona, Nihiligo, Mega Agrons, Theraptor, Virizion, Hoopayu, Magnezone, and Flygon. A lot of offensive presence there, and his Z users being Volcarona and Hoopayu. Now, his team, for the vast majority of it, is very hard hitting. I think I have very few switch-ins for Kyurem White, and I especially had to make sure I had to check for the Volcarona, because if I didn't, if that thing gets a +1 with the Quiver Dance, my team is just absolutely screwed. So I had to prep very hard for a lot of the things on his team that I was very sure that I could take on reliably, and otherwise could ensure that I could beat. So a lot of my focus went on to his fire types, seeing which he brought both of them. And of course he has his defensive checks, things like Goth, things like Mega Aggron, Feeny, even like Virizion and Magnezone could have come as well. So a lot of his team was kind of difficult to prepare for, but there were a lot of things on my team that really, really did push his S in if I got it set up correctly. So looking at my team, I'm going to put the printout up on the screen. We have Mega Lucario, we have Tapu Koko, we have Gliscor, Araquanid, Drapion, and Scizor. So the Mega Lucario is just going to be 3 attacks, Sword Stance set. We have Close Combat Bullet Punch, so dual stab, and then we have Rock Slide, because I learned my fucking lesson from battling Necrostevo, that if I'm seeing him on that's 4 times weak to a rock move, I'm probably going to bring it if I could, make the room. And in this case, I was able to make the room with Lucario. I believe it has enough speed to outpace Virizion, and then just the general coverage. I think at +2, I can pretty much ramshack a lot of his teams, assuming it's not like Scarfed. Raptor is Scarfed, and it's at 100%. I can't knock it out with +2 BP, and then even with Mega Aggron, even a neutral close combat, it does over 50%, which is fucking nuts from a Lucario. So a Rock Slide is there just to pretty much blow out the Volcarona. I know if he's max HP, max defense, and I get to +4, I actually blow it away from full through Charty Berry. And if he does have Charty Berry, but he's like just max HP per se, I blow him away through Charty at +2. So that is something that I want to keep in mind, because again, I want to learn from my battle with Necro, and I want to move forward accordingly. Next up, we have something I think overall is very, very problematic for his team, and that's going to be Tapu Koko. Now, this is set to outpace, I believe, so I could have run Modest this week. However, one of my intentions was, because this thing does have U-turn, what I want to do is I want to be able to get out in case he does bring Gothitelle to try and trap me. So if he is max speed Timid, Scarfed, I set my Koko to be able to outpace a Scarfed, Timid Gothitelle, so I could U-turn out, get some super effective damage, and get out into one of my checks versus being trapped in and otherwise forced to try and knock it out or take damage, which I really didn't want to do in combination with the Life Orb and just not really things I wanted to do. So dual stab, because overall, like, his only immunity to Thunderbolt is Flygon, and his only resistance besides that is like Magnezone. So overall, I think what I could do is, between Dazzling Gleam and Thunderbolt, just pretty much knock out a lot of his team. And with the Life Orb, I mean, I'm just doing over 50%. Like, this thing is two-shotting or just OHKOing whatever comes in. So that's kind of a good thing. Roost is there to bypass rocks and Life Orb damage. And then U-turn is there for pivot to get out into some of my other threats in case he does have, like, say he has Flygon. You know, I could just U-turn out. So that's kind of the idea behind this Koko, and I'm very excited to use it. I know it's going to bust through a lot of his team, because that in tandem with Mega Lucario is just a breaker for him. So next up we have a GlitchxCity. This is going to be max HP and a very high speed set. Now it is pseudo defensive, but for the most part it's set to outpace a Tapu Fini, and that's important just because I know that I can't Moonblast, can't Scald, can't Surf or Ice Beam me, so I can get out. Earthquake is just great general coverage for a lot of his team. It blows away Nihilego, does solid damage to Mega Aggron, and then I have Ice Fang there for coverage against Virizion as well as Flygon. So if he does bring Flygon instead of it, be able to freely set up on me. Now I won't be able to take like a +1 Outrage maybe, but what I can do is pretty much crush it so that I can go into Mega Lucario and hit with the BP and knock it out. So that's kind of the idea there with GlitchxCity. Just make it fast, be able to have it live a few hits. Have the Toxic Orb, and then just be able to pivot out and do whatever I need to do to either get into better switches or take hits and maybe sack off. It doesn't matter. So that's kind of the idea here. Also, Ice Fang hits the Staraptor, which I know is going to be important in tandem with Rocks. I mean, like, I want to get Rocks up immediately because we're talking Kyurem White, we're talking Volcarona, we're talking Staraptor. All those mons could take the 25 to 50%, which I really want to ensure that his team gets crippled down. But besides that, I mean, it's just, he has very few removers. I think his primary one is Staraptor, and then even Flygon. But besides that, if he can't get rid of them, and Tapu Fini, of course, but if he can get rid of them, or he does try and get rid of them, it gives me the opportunity to utilize Koko or Mega Lucario to then blow away something. So that's kind of the idea there. Next up, we have a pretty much my Volcarona check. Now this is pretty much max HP, max SPDF with a little bit of attack investment, but the attack investment there is so that I can pretty much do all the percent to a Volcarona. I mean, 36 investment, Adamant, just with the Water Ball boosted liquidation, I knock out a max HP and a solid, like, a 200 investment defense Volcarona. So I can go for liquidation. I could pretty much ensure that he doesn't become a fucking issue, and Volcarona can kind of get neutered that way. It doesn't do that much damage to Kyurem White, but I mean, that really is not the biggest deal. But I mean, put it this way, the boosted liquidation is doing more damage to Tapu Fini and Virizion resisted than a super effective poison jab does, which is fucking remarkable. Miracle is there to get like a surprise pretty much hit on whatever may want to come in. I may not be clicking that whatsoever. Sticky Web is there because, again, if he can't defog with one of his main defoggers, all of his Scarfers or otherwise grounded things are just neutralized, hitting with Volcarona. And Protect is there to kind of scout for or even weaken a Z move from Volcarona, because he can be running the Savage Spin Out for the bug. He can be running Shattered Psyche. He could be running even Z Hurricane. Shit, he could be running Supersonic Sky Strike. And if he get a +1, he knocks me out. But I can Protect just to kind of bypass that and even weaken it down to the point where I can live one. I probably won't be able to live a second hit from, especially if it's Hurricane, but what I can do is weaken vastly his Z move, and he should know that liquidation just blows him away. So next up we have a Scarf Drapion. This is just a nice revenge killer. I mean, Weavile could have also fit here, but having the dual stabs to be able to hit some of his fairies, things like Virizion, just very unresisted across the vast majority of his team. Knockoff, which is pretty much good against everything except Fini, Aggron, and Virizion. Earthquake is there. It's good for just knocking out, even get big damage off on Aggron and even Magnezone. And Rock Slide is there for Volcarona, so even at +1, he can't really knock me out, especially if he burns a Z move, and then I could just knock him out right there with Rock Slide. So, and I'm set to speed tie the Kyurem White. GlitchxCity is set to outspeed Fini, and yeah, Rockron Slew. So, and then finally, last kind of weird set was a AV Scissor. Now this is here specifically because the thing with Nihilego is that looking at my first 5 mons, really not the greatest switches in Nihilego. So in the case that I needed one, I can bring a scissor. Max attack, bullet punch does a very solid damage, solid amount of damage to the Nihiligo, and as a matter of fact, probably knocks it out. Besides that, bullet punch over the vast majority of his team outside of like Volcarona is pretty much unresisted. So, and then Magnezone, if he tries to trap me at 220 speed, at Jolly, I outpace a timid Magnezone, so I can then go superpower and pretty much knock him out after bullet punch damage and even rocks when it switches in. And Assault Vest allows me to live a hidden power fire from a timid Magnezone max special attack. So Aerial Ace is there, so I could hit the Virizion, pretty much knock it out. And then it's also there, I can hit Volcarona on like a switch if I want to predict that. But besides that, U-turn machine, bullet punch to ensure Nihiligo doesn't blow me away, because I could take a power gem, I could take, I'm immune to Sludge Wave, and then he has to pick a hidden power value. So we'll see how that goes. That's the team. Sorry for being a little bit long-winded. I want to explain. And then we're going to go into the match. We see that he brings the Raptor, he brings Volcarona, Kyurem White, Gothitelle, Aggron, Mega Aggron, and Tapu Fini. So he has one of two leads. He can either lead off with what I expected to be the Tapu Fini as a counter lead to like my Gliscor, because I really didn't intend on leading with anything else, or Aggron to get up at his own rocks, and even a Mega Evolve to ensure that he can take like an Earthquake through the filter, because obviously the Earthquake, when he's not Mega Evolved, is quite if I figure if I just lead off with Gliscor, it's not really a big issue. So that's pretty much what I'm going to lead off with. Again, thank you to Deathly for being so patient, understanding, and thank you guys for being patient, understanding with me uploading late. I'm gonna try and catch up for the upcoming weeks, but we'll see what happens with my real life. So I lead off with Gliscor, as he's gonna lead off with his Staraptor. Now I don't really care what he goes for per se. My intention here is to get rocks up. Now if he is like a Scarf set, if he's a Bandit set, I'll be able to see that on the damage outright. He is gonna go for Brave Bird, and naturally he is fast at a base 100. But his damage here is gonna show me that he is in fact a Reckless Scarf set. Now the damage he's doing to me is not all that much for being like a Reckless set, because I would have seen the Intimidate if he had it. But what I'm going to do here is, instead of letting Gliscor die, because I obviously am going to get 2 KO'd by another round of Brave Bird after I set the rocks, is I'm going to go into Koko. And despite this thing being Life Orb, what I know I can do is I could take roughly up to 50%, because 50.3% it was what I was going to take from a Brave Bird. So I'm going to let him just kind of wither himself away, if not switch, because based on the damage, I mean, unless he's like fucking Skyplate or something, yeah, oh, cool, you got me, but I would be outspeeding you then, and I just click Thunderbolt. But I'm going to click Roost here, because I know it's at under 50%. Like, he can get the roll for the next one, but I doubt he would stay in. I'm just going to Roost up as he switches into his Kyurem White, and he's going to take the rocks damage, but I'm going to go back to full HP. So that was kind of my plan with this right here, because instead of letting Gliscor die for no reason, I pretty much came in. He just took, what, some 40-odd% from 2 Brave Birds, plus he's going to take rock damage when he comes back in. So I'm sitting pretty here. What I'm going to do is, in case he is like a Scarf set, I'm just going to hard switch out, and I'm going to go into my Araquanid. I know this is my primary Volcarona set, or switch in, but I know for right now, I have the capability of taking on Volcarona no problem. I wanted to see what he was in terms of coverage. I knew he wouldn't go for Fire Move, but even so, Araquanid is my best switch in for Fire Move. He goes for Earth Power, does nothing, and then he goes for Dragon Pulse, so I know he's not Scarf, not Life Orb, not anything like that. He could be like Damage Reduction Berry, like a Berry Berry or something, but I'm going to go for Liquidation, and this is going to do, well, nothing. It does about 25%, but that, for a resisted hit to a Dragon Ice type, I think it's pretty cool that it does that much percent. And the defense drop, so I know he's going to switch here. So, but assuming that he stayed in and went for another Dragon Pulse, I'm going to hard switch out into Scizor, because my belief here was that I could get in as he went for like BP, because there's no reason he was going for Fusion Flare there. Like, this just wasn't happening. So, or whatever it's called. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to go into my Scizor on the double. Now, he goes into Tapu Fini, so he can defog here. He probably should defog here. We see he doesn't. He prevents a Swords Dance here, where even if he defogged, I probably would have went out into probably in Tapu Koko and then just like threatened him out, click T-Bolt, would have killed something. Gliscor could have set up rocks later on. Really wasn't that concerned. But I'm gonna go for U-turn. We see it does a solid chunk of damage to a for a resisted hit. As I'm gonna go into Tapu Koko. Pretty much at this point now, because you see he doesn't bring Flygon, something dies, because even if he goes out into Aggron like he's going to do right here, the thing is that the Sturdy is busted from the Stealth Rocks. And even if he is Spadef, an Aggron, and even a Mega Aggron is not taking this. So I click T-Bolt, Timid, Max Special Attack, Life Orb, and goodbye. So Koko is going to claim a kill. Aggron did what's that word? Jack shit. So, Cooper, nothing. He can't. You know, my dreams are still kind of haunted from what Aggron did to me. So, from what was it, season 2, season 3? Anyway, I'm gonna hard switch out because I know that this Staraptor is Scarf. It's the only reason he brought it in the way that he did. So I'm just gonna sack off GlitchxCity here, and he does lock himself in double edge. I looked at the roles and what he could or couldn't lock himself into. I mean, if he went for Brave Bird there, great. I would just went back on a Coco and do what I did before, where I would just weaken this thing down to the point where rocks would kill it or it would kill itself. But instead, he locks himself in a double edge. Now, being that he locked himself in a double edge, that pretty much means that I can now go into Mega Lucario. Doesn't matter what he does, because if he goes for double edge, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be like 50%, but it gets me to +2 with a Swords Dance, no problem. I am going to get up to +2 as fucking Karen White comes in, does all the things, the Turbo Blaze, and I'm gonna Mega Evolve, and I'm clicking Swords Dance. There's no reason for me not to. I wasn't clicking Bullet Punch. I mean, this thing was almost a 4 attack set, not a Swords Dance set, but I'm glad I kept it a Swords Dance because, as we can see here, he pretty much is allowing me to get free setup against pretty much most of his team. So I'm gonna click Bullet Punch and I'm gonna knock out the Karen White. I'm still at full HP. Nothing is scarfed outside of his Staraptor, and even then I'm at +2. He's in almost death percent with rocks, so he goes to Tapu Fini here. And I'm looking at my calcs, right? In our mind, I'm looking, okay, there's 4 coverage moves he can go for. There's Nature's Madness, which he hit, puts down to 50%. There's Moonblast, which will do upwards like 36-40%. We have Hydro Pump, which will do the most amount of damage, probably up to like 56%. Then we have Scald or Surf, and that probably won't do that much damage. Now, his other option here is to go for something like Defog, which I don't know why you would Defog in front of a +2 Mega Lucario, but based on the percent that he's at right now, I mean, being near 50%, I know I can live whatever I want, and I'm going to go for second Swords Dance. Now, I learned, again, kind of from Necrostevo, that if I have the opportunity to kind of set up against something that I know can't kill me, I'm going to. And this pretty much puts me in win position. This is what I expected to be in when I was playing Necro, and now we're seeing it here. Close Combat was a better roll versus Fini. Like, Bullet Punch should have killed. It's just I couldn't tell with his investment what exactly he was going to do, but I know at +4, Close Combat killed regardless. And nothing really wanted to come in on that. I mean, yeah, Gothitelle could have, but Bullet Punch would just knock it out thereafter. There's no rocks up, but it doesn't matter because, like, Quick Attack, if he had Quick Attack here, he probably should have went for it because it did like 21 to 25% at -1 defense. And that could have played a role in later. Go for Bullet Punch, I knock out Staraptor. That's 2 kills now, or 3 kills actually for Mega Lucario. He goes into Gothitelle, and this is why, if he had Quick Attack, or even going for a move with Tapu Fini against my Mega Lucario, probably could have helped him at least in differential. But I go for Bullet Punch because I didn't want to go for Close Combat in case he was Scarfed, because obviously he would have outpaced me. But I go for Bullet Punch instead because if I did go for Close Combat, I could have knocked him out, and I probably would have knocked him out. But I go for Bullet Punch instead because I didn't want to get the special defense drop in case I did knock him out with the resisted hit. So I go for double Bullet Punch. He puts it down really low. That's 4 kills for Mega Lucario. Then finally he goes into Volcarona. And because there's no rocks up, and because I know that +4 goes through a Charty Berry, even if he's max HP and max defense, we don't see the Charty Berry, so it doesn't fucking matter. Rock Slide KOs Volcarona, no problem. That's a 5-kill sweep, Mega Lucario, which I was so excited. Like, in a way, I guess after last week, I kind of needed a match like this where, I mean, it was at the cost of Deathly, whom I do think, being a new coach, I think he's still a good coach. Some things to learn, yes, that may be true, but it doesn't mean that he's bad. I mean, I actually, respect his style when he narrates and what he does and what he provides in terms of content. So, GG to Deathly. I'm sorry that Mega Lucario went double fisted Roni up to you. So it was a fun match though. So Mega Lucario, whereas the past 3 weeks I was struggling with it, not having it not really do much last week again, or me being an idiot and clicking Bullet Punch against a Rotom. And then the week before, where I probably could have won if I wasn't such a dummy, and losing to the defensive Charizard. We did what we can do here, so I'm glad that Mega Lucario got a 5-mon sweep, and as a result, Mega Lucario is now your kill leader for the GBA MVP list. So it's now 9-2, which is actually pretty awesome. It's 4-2 the weeks before. So I'm very glad that Mega Lucario did what it needed to do, and the fact that I just swept through his team was pretty dope. So that'll be the match. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm actually playing Nexus in a little while, so we'll see what goes on with him. And we'll bring that match to you guys hopefully tomorrow. So That being said, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think of the match. Let me know what you guys think moving forward. I may make some transactions, I may not. You know, there's some radical changes I may have wanted to make with my last one, or even some trades, but you know, we'll see what goes on. That being said, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys soon for my week 5 match against Nexus. So until then, later.